Luca, I can't pronounce the last name. Jim, you should shout out Suprcrzy, the best DSP detractor channel out there.
Alright, what's up, trolls and girls? And shout out to whoever that was. You know, like a lot of you, I've listened to a lot of Medicare in my lifetime, and when I heard that, I was like, what the fuck, man? Somebody actually pointed it out to me and even had a timestamp for me, so I was able to go clip it. I can't remember who it was, so if it was you, drop a comment and I'll remember your name. You know, thank you for bringing it to my attention. And to whoever paid for that, thank you. Just know that you don't have to spend your money on that, but it means a lot to me, so thank you from the bottom of my heart. I just thought I'd put this video out because I'm not sure when the next one's going to be, but this is for everyone that asked me when's the next video or that they missed the old videos. This one's for you. And I knew I had to make it worth it, so let's go ahead and get into this. Timbo, Timbo, Timbo. I thought you learned your lesson last time, buddy, but apparently not. So as you can tell from the title, PhilSmokesCrack is Timbo Slice. We're going to break it down here, and then I'll have a special little message for Timbo at the end of the video. Let's take a look at the first clip, and let's see what we got.
Okay. Chicken Man tipped me $1.50. Says, Chick-fil-A. You mean Chick-fil-A? You spelled that completely wrong. But they asked me to be their mascot. They only offered me 2 bags of chicken feed every 2 weeks, which I said no to. Is that not enough? It's not enough, so I kept my egg laying job. All right, well, good for you, Chicken Man. Just so you know, there's no such thing as a male chicken, because if there were, you wouldn't be. A chicken is female. I don't know why I'm even addressing this. Thank you for the tip. PhilSmokesCrack just tipped me $20 to start off tonight. He says, hey, let's start this shit off good tonight. You make my night better. I hope that you know that. Thank you, PhilSmokesCrack. I feel like I should clarify since the beginning of the stream that no, I do not smoke crack. This is just someone who has a silly name and uses it from time to time, and I appreciate the support. So right now, PhilSmokesCrack is the top contributor of the night. The way that we do every single week on Flight Simulator streams is whoever is the top contributor by the end of the stream gets to pick where we go next week. That's why we're going to Tijuana to start tonight, and we'll see what happens. Fair enough? All right. Derek is excited. He says, I'm very happy we're doing Hong Kong tonight. I really want to do Hong Kong tonight. I think it would be fun. Star-Lord, good evening to you. Good to see you. Despair Carl says that was only iced coffee. It's not. You just earn yourself a permanent ban, and I'm not joking. Because I've already said time and time and time again, you're not allowed to make jokes like that. And number one, insult contributors. And number two, harass only iced coffee. So enjoy your permanent ban. People just never learn.
So how'd that work out for you, Phil? Why don't you stick up for OIC again, dumbass? So I left that part in for a reason. Phil clearly knows that PhilSmokesCrack isn't OIC somehow. Despite him claiming he doesn't usually know who these people are. Just keep that in mind for later. But let's go back to the beginning. So Chicken Man coincidentally tips, and hey Chicken Man, where you been, buddy? Good to see ya. And he has some stupid chicken joke that Phil doesn't even care about and speed reads right through it. Because he doesn't give 2 fucks about you, Timbo. But Chicken Man misspells Chick-fil-A and makes the message hard to understand, which is a Timbo staple, by the way. He always fucks his messages up. But then by the grace of God, PhilSmokesCrack tips immediately after Chicken Man. And mind you, this clip is from September of 2021, after Timbo posted that dumb shit on Kiwi Farms, but before I had popped him as Chicken Man. So he's been using multiple accounts to tip for a couple of years already. But PhilSmokesCrack tips $20 and tells DSP that he makes his night and he's happy to be there. Whatever, man. I'm not even going to waste my time with that dumbass message. But if you go back and listen to Phil after he reads the message, he says, quote, no, I don't smoke crack. This is just someone that has a silly name and uses it from time to time, and I appreciate the support, unquote. So it kind of sounds like he may know who it is, but then again, it's also just some dumb fuck that comes around and gives Phil money occasionally. Let's go to the next clip.
Huh. Hidden Gem Gamer said, I actually did a review for Singularity, and I managed to review a developer who worked on it. It would mean a lot if you would check it out and give me some feedback. Oh, well, I have no idea if I'd be able to watch it or not, but you can send it my way. You can always send me a link via email. PhilSmokesCrack is here tonight and tipped me $20. It says, Phil, I like this playthrough as well. How's tonight going, and what did you eat for dinner? The playthrough is going well, I feel. I'm playing it way more now, so I'll be making way more progress than I had been. 3 streams of it just this week alone. Okay? That's a great thing, obviously. What I had for dinner? I had a frozen meal. Crappy. I'm not gonna lie. We didn't have anything special for dinner tonight. Because it was just a day where we basically were up in the air about what to do. Like, we have other meals planned. Like, tomorrow I'm gonna do meatball grinders. I know later in the week we're gonna do pasta. One day Kat's making her baked chicken. But this is a longer week for us. This is a really long time before our next day off. And like I told you guys, sadly, I just didn't have a lot of money this week. So we basically have like 2 or 3 days this week where it's just kind of, do whatever. And I had a frozen meal left over in the freezer. So did my wife. So we just tossed them into the microwave, Nothing special. We don't have enough money to be having great meals every day this week. So it is what it is.
So the clip starts with some dumbass sending a super chat and asking Phil to take a look at some review he did for some game and that it would mean a lot to him. In typical DSP fashion, he says he doesn't know if he can do that and to email it to him. So Phil can just ignore it and probably block your email, by the way. When are these fucking people gonna learn, man? He doesn't care about you. You exist solely to prop him up with money. But then our boy PhilSmokesCrack tips $20 and says he likes this playthrough as well and gets in another Tembo staple of, "What's for dinner, Phil? What time's dinner, Phil? Where's my dinner?" But Phil bumbles and stumbles his way through a lie that he had some kind of frozen meal for dinner. He then has to toss in how he doesn't have any money, so they can't have any kind of good meals right now. Blah, blah, blah. This is how stupid Timbo and the majority of these people are. You get his bank leaks. You see how often he gets DoorDash. You see how often he eats at places like fucking IHOP and Sherry's Cafe and Pies and all these Asian cuisine places. But yet, he had some crappy frozen meal for dinner. A Jan. So let's go ahead and go into the third clip.
All right, anyway, PhilSmokesCrack tipped me $5. Says, I've been a longtime fan. I enjoy getting some food and eating your stream. Also, in case anyone tries to imitate me, here's his code name. All right, great. I don't really understand what your message meant, but I thank you for the support regardless. I did get your code, so I know who you are. Thank you. Major Riot did 100-bit cheers. So resistance to Chef Boyardee is unthinkable for Phil. There you go. Now,
Hey, Major Riot, where you been? Good to see you, buddy. Oh, we're getting all the classics out here today. But then, we get a 2-for-1 Timbo staple there, as he mush-mouths his way through another tip and has to talk about food, of course. But if you go back and listen to the message, PhilSmokesCrack says, I'm a longtime fan and I enjoy getting food and eating your stream. Just fucking get help, Timbo, man. Get help. But then he throws in case someone imitates me, here's my code word. And it brings me back to when people were having to use code words to tip him and all kinds of shit. This is how hopelessly addicted Timbo is to this guy. Phil's not even asking for code words anymore, and Timbo just wants to be a part of DSP's life so badly. He's trying to use secret words to give him money, because he knows that's the only way he can get Phil's attention. It's fucking sad, man. Timbo works all day, probably busts his ass when it's compared to what Phil does, comes home, gets drunk every other night, and thinks he's having conversations with Phil. Thinks he's a huge part of Phil's streams in life. And if you don't believe me, let's go over to the DSP, a chat, a tracker. So one of the first messages I can find from PhilSmokesCrack is the usual Timbo staple of, what's for dinner, Phil? Now, I'm not sure if there's earlier messages where he was typing in Phil's chat, but this is the earliest I can find, and it's literally his second or third message in the chat. Maybe he was just tipping as PhilSmokesCrack and wasn't using it to chat that much. Who knows, man? But then if we go to the top of the screen, this motherfucker says there's nothing wrong with ICP. Get the fuck up out of my chat with that bullshit. And sorry to any juggalos out there, but if you want to be in a group with Timbo, then we need to disown you. We then get, quote, Phil is my hero, unquote. And then probably one of the most pathetic messages I've ever seen, and that includes my time doing To Catch a Pay Pig. He says, quote, if I was gay, I would 1v1 cat faux Phil's love, unquote. I don't even know what to say. It brings me back to one of my first videos, and if you've been riding with me since then, you remember this. But it ain't gonna be us, Phil. When one of these motherfuckers gets to you, it ain't gonna be us. Let's go to the next picture. So someone was questioning him in the chat, if he's a troll because of the name, and he says, believe it or not, I am not a troll. When I tip, though, I can tell in his voice he don't like saying my name. It's almost like he wants to take a big sigh after he says it. So fucking pathetic, man. And just FYI, there's another Timbo staple. 90% of the time, he'll spell two with two O's in it. I mean, he just doesn't care. He's fucking wild. He then goes on to say that at least Phil can take his funny name, unlike Wings. He then says that if he made a troll name and supported Wings, Wings would sign and then ban him. Sign and then ban him. Yeah, sure, Timbo. Phil has thick skin and isn't like Wings. Sure, buddy. He then says, you're smart, man, which, he misspelled it, but whatever. We then end this picture with, I stand with Phil. And we know you do, man. We know. Next picture. We then get this message of, and I don't know if this is a meme he's doing or if this is really how he found Phil, but we get the same stupid bullshit with the patriarchy. That he started watching Phil because of the trolls and that Phil's entertaining, which is why he sticks around. Yeah, sure, whatever, man. Next picture. So this is around the time that Phil got banned off of Twitch and was forced to come over to YouTube. And just like Phil, Timbo don't have any fucking clue on how things work over here. So he says, quote, I still don't know how you can too now. Tip now. Yeah, no tip jar. How do I pay my Phil? Unquote. How do I pay my Phil? My Führer? Is that what you were trying to say? He then tags DSP and says, how do I tip now? I used to just go to the About Me section and tip. So how do you do it now? I mean, this guy's having a fucking panic attack because he can't give his Führer money. It's ridiculous, man. He then asks for some Phil overtime and says, that's because Phil is the doctor of streaming. It's so fucking stupid. Then what would you be doing if you wasn't a streamer? These are children's fucking questions, man. Phil is awesome. I wish I had a sub, and then someone gives him a sub. Next picture. All right, and here we go. If you had any doubt this was Timbo Slice, this should erase that doubt. So you can see there's a long gap in his chat history between May 14th of 2021 and January 30th of 2022. That's over 8 months. Now, why would PhilSmokesCrack stay away for that long of a time and then pop back up that night? What happened on January 30th, 2022? Some gentleman uploads a video to YouTube titled, Say Hello to Chicken Man, aka Timbo Slice. And in case you haven't noticed, Chicken Man ran away like the coward he is and hasn't been seen since that night. PhilSmokesCrack all of a sudden, for whatever reason, gets the urge to sign into his YouTube account that night and participate in the chat, and let's see what he says. He tags Chicken Man and says, what up, Timbo? Yes, Timbo, that'll really throw everyone off the scent. Good job, buddy. So PhilSmokesCrack stays away for 8 months, comes back the night Chicken Man gets popped, talks twice in the chat that night, and one of his messages is, what up, Timbo? You can't even begin to describe how dumb these people are. And then here's another screenshot that I forgot about that ties the two together even further. On September 17th, 2020, PhilSmokesCrack tips Phil and says, quote, keep it up. I am taking shots too when you win every 2 matches. Now that's important because if you go back to the Chicken Man video, Phil clearly says that night that he hopes Timbo's okay and he's probably in the hospital because he said he was going to take a shot after every DSP victory. And he was going to have a pretty shitty birthday because of it. And here's PhilSmokesCrack giving Phil more money that night, saying he's taking shots too. It's fucking pathetic, man. And by the way, if you go back to a previous video of mine where I showed an email between Phil and OIC, and I'm going to put it on the screen here, I'm not going to read it, but you can read it for yourself. Phil knows all about this shit. Timbo emails him constantly telling him he's going to do name changes and tips saying, here's my code word. And Phil just says, yeah, buddy, good job. Keep doing it. They'll never know it's you. And if you're a current pay pig and Phil has told you in emails to change your name or just pretend like you're a new viewer and no one will ever know, well, just look at how much Phil gives a fuck about Timbo and think to yourself how much Phil gives a fuck about you. And thanks to my homie Piece of Peace, we got tip numbers for PhilSmokesCrack. Mind you, this doesn't include any super chats, cheers, because he was around on Twitch as well, or memberships. And this is only a 1 year span of tips. That's $831 in tips alone in a 1 year span. And that's just what we know about. And if you think back to the Chicken Man video, I added everything up and it was about $609 in a 5-month span with that name alone. And he tips under multiple names. Some he doesn't ever use again, like Kevin Durant and Tom Brady. I know he's been tipping recently as Hod Toward. Peace and I have some difference here. He thinks the Bears patriarchy. I think he's Timbo. But it doesn't even matter. Look at the bigger picture when it comes to all of this. Timbo is just like Phil. Blow all your money on whatever you want and then just declare bankruptcy. And Timbo, maybe the third time's a charm. Maybe this third bankruptcy will be the one that wakes you up. But then again, maybe you'll just keep tipping Phil like you did tonight. Phil cooks meth. And just for fun, let's take a look at one more picture before we end all this. So, some of you may know that Timbo hates OIC. He's like most detractors in that right. But he hates him because OIC is the one that doxed Timbo a long time ago. And remember, Phil said it wasn't true and you had mental issues if you believed it, and that he was just going to ban you if you talk about it. This is how clueless these people are. DSP stood up for OIC when OIC doxed Tembo. And what does Tembo do? Still follows DSP around and calls him his hero and showers him with thousands of dollars. So PhilSmokesCrack says, "You guys broke Coffee Man, huh? Good job." And he tags Cracker Jacks a couple of times, which, by the way, it looks like Cracker Jacks has seen the light and sworn off DSP. Piece of Peace played a huge role in that, so be sure to give Piece of Peace a pat on the back, and if you see Cracker Jacks, congratulate him. I think he even donated $250 to Jasper's Angels the other day. And that's $250 less in DSP's pocket. Shout out to Alfred Aponte, DJ Runo, Cracker Jacks, among others that have seen the light. PhilSmokesCrack then says, "I think Slayer lied about the trolling because he was mad he got fleeced." Well, if you think he got fleeced then, you should see him now, buddy. He then says with 1 Minute Man it's 53, and then usually Coffee Man donates to get to 100. He then takes one more pot shot at OIC and says, "If I didn't think Coffee Man would just donate the rest, I would definitely contribute. Better his money than mine." So it at least shows he has some awareness. And then we're going to finish it on this. PhilSmokesCrack tags Derek and says, "Darish, can I ask you a question about some of the things you post on Twitter?" And of course, Darish just ignored him. But Derek, if a degenerate like Timbo is clowning you, maybe it's time to leave those porn stars alone, buddy. I mean, it's bad enough when the porn stars are even tweeting back at you, telling you to knock it off. Get some fucking help, man, unless you want to wind up like Timbo. And one more thing before we sign off here. I have to specifically apologize to the sexual deviant known as Lucifer Soul, because I actually said he was PhilSmokesCrack in another video, but this was before I popped Chicken Man and had really looked into this fully. Licehead actually came to a couple of the videos recently and left a few comments. If you want to find those comments, look for my videos with Lucifer Soul in the title and click newest comments and you can see what he said. And even though I told him to get help, I did say that I owed him an apology for that, and, well, there it is. And let me just shout out a few people that tipped me since the last video. Doku World Order, thank you, brother. I see you in DDM, by the way. Peachy, who is going through a tough time, but always keep your head up, Peachy, always. Gorilla Pimp, I'm not going to say what you said, and stop tipping DSP, motherfucker. You said you weren't going to do that anymore. James, and I saw your email, by the way. I saw your email, James, your email address, and I like it, buddy. Good shit. Well Biologist, that's a homie right there, and I'm always thankful for him. And then 2 special shout-outs. These aren't tips, but it's always nice to give special shout-outs to people. Number 1 is Dominic. Dominic is starting to stream on Twitch. He's just practicing, getting the hang of it, using some of my TCAP videos to start with, and keep an eye out for Dom. And I want to see people showing him love when he's up and running, because that dude has shown nothing but love to everyone on this side since he came around. So feel free to drop your Twitch handle when you're ready, Dom, and I'll promote it for you, brother. And second special shout out is to Grayson. Young Grayson is about 1.5 years old, and his dad left a comment and said that Grayson won't go to sleep unless my videos are playing on the TV. And that it would mean a lot if he could get a shout out. So I just want to say to Grayson, I want you to grow up and be a good boy. I want you to be happy, healthy, and blessed. Essentially everything that DSP isn't. Listen to your dad. Do not play mobile games. Do not move women in from across the country that you've only texted with for a few months. And above all else, don't abandon your friends and family and move across the country for money, because it ain't worth it. Shout out to Grayson and his daddy. And while I'm at it, shout out to my friend Junior, who listens to my videos. I'm sure he'll text me when he hears this. So shout out to you, my friend. As I said in the beginning, I do not know when the next video will be. I actually made this video on my phone. So if the quality was off or if you noticed something weird, that's why. Ran into some issues with my laptop, and I'm going to get another one soon. I keep saying that, but with my schedule, DSP videos just aren't a priority anymore. So I'll have another video out at some point. You know, this just gives me extra time to work on it. Thank you for sticking with me. Thank you for having my back. Thank you for riding with me. And as always, a less, a fucking, a go.